second part to this bell ringer. So if you're done, you can put your pencils down, but otherwise, 50 seconds, get that bell ringer done. 10 seconds. Put it on a regular piece of paper or whatever you do for him. Bell ringer, yeah. All right, it's been 60 seconds. Touch over. What do you got? Bethany, what did you write down for conformity in your own words? When you form yourself around others and what they do or what they expect you to do. It's pretty good. Anybody want to expand upon that? Emily?
People might make themselves like other people so that they fit in.
Okay, people make themselves like other people to fit in. It's good. Anyone else? The general definition we will go with, and both of those definitions are very good. I like how they're focused on people and kind of fitting in, because that's sort of what conformity is, right? Conformity is a change in behavior that's caused by other people. Go ahead, that's you started. Fine. It's me, not you. So, conformity is a change in behavior caused by other people, which is essentially what both of you guys said. So now my next question for you, and we're going to take another 60 seconds to do this, is do you think that conformity is a good thing or a bad thing? And I want you to justify it with a specific instance. So it would be, I think conformity is great because without conformity, people would behave dumb. Or I think conformity is terrible because with conformity, people all behave like. Notice how I focused on behavior because as both of those definitions and this definition pointed out, conformity is something that impacts behavior. So the way that people dress or etc. Okay, 60 seconds. About 20 seconds. Most of you have already put down sufficient response. All right, Kyle, could you quickly share with us what you wrote? Put a short, simple, but sufficient response. What did you say? Okay, so a conformist is someone that might not do what they want to do, but they're doing what they feel pressure to do because everyone else is doing. Is that a more lengthy way to say what you were saying? Anyone agree? Disagree? What do you think, Casey? Why?
Because if you conform, you're not yourself, you're trying to be someone else.
Okay, does anyone have an example in which conformity could be a good thing? Anybody go that direction? Yes, sir.
Like you could easily be like peer pressured into something else by your parents, say expecting you not to do it.
So you are.
Yeah, that's normally against your morals.
Okay.
Conforming to something against your morals and your parents expect you.
I don't think we'll have time, but you're kind of talking more about obedience than conformity. When you're, because obedience is following someone's wish because someone is in authority, whereas conformity is there is no formal authority. So if you felt that your parents had no formal authority, then I would say that's right. We won't have time to get into that today. Mr. Osborne's going to talk about that. Let me ask you this one. How about the way in which people behave at the mall? Are there any rules, or even better yet, the way that people behave on the elevator? How do people behave in an elevator?
Or quiet.
They're quiet. Which way do they face? Straight. They look at the door. Okay, that's sort of a social norm, right? What would happen if people didn't do that?
People look out on you.
Would there be possibly pandemonium in the elevator?
What?
Like if I went to the elevator and I faced the wrong way and I started jumping up and down, would you consider that a good thing or a bad thing? It would be funny, but I tell you what, I don't think I'd want to catch that elevator. So conformity, and we will mainly focus on the bad of it today, or actually we're just going to focus on why it is. But it can also be good, because conformity, we're obviously hardwired for it, because I hate to break it to you, but if you look around, most of you are conforming to a whole bunch of norms right now, and you do most of your life. It's something that is not necessarily bad, but it's just something that we do. We're hardwired to do it, all right? So our objective for the day, what we're trying to get done here in the next 54 minutes, is we're going to be able to list and analyze factors that lead to conformity. Mainly, I want us to analyze it. I don't care if we memorize what the factors are, but I want you to be able to apply and know what those factors are and why we do it. Because I think that could be a useful thing for you, whether you want to be a psychologist or not. If you can just sit there and you're in a situation and you see something happening and you can recognize why those people are conforming, I think that's a pretty useful thing. State standards is we're trying to understand how cultural socialization determines the social scheme and development. We'll talk about that. That's something we have to know in order to understand conformity. But mainly we're going to describe the factors that lead to conformity. So before we continue, before we talk any more about conformity, we need to know what social psychology is. That's a branch that we're looking at. What is social psychology? And as we have this discussion, I'm passing out to you notes. You guys have been here with me before. My notes are just questions. Answer those questions. Don't have to copy what's word for word. And there's a slide that has a whole bunch of typing or writing. I took care of that for you. It's on the back side. But just worry about the front right now. So, Claire, what do you think social psychology is? Okay, she said looking at how people act in a social environment. Are there any environments that are not social? You got a good start to an answer, but I think we could improve it. Like, how is that different than regular psychology? What word did you add? It's right up there. What's the word in there? Social. So what makes it there? What is social? You're a social creature, aren't you?
Like groups?
Okay, in groups. What else? Help her out here. How would you define social, Mr. Mayor?
Interaction.
Interaction with what? Cats?
Interaction with
Interaction with other people. Right, so social psychology is we're studying the interactions with people. We're studying, an analogy I like to make for it is social psychology is the difference in how someone acts when they're by themselves versus how someone acts when there's someone in the room or when there's someone watching you. Right. But when social psychology, we're specifically talking about thoughts, behaviors, and feelings. Okay? So we're going to talk about some specific things. Social psychology definitely overlaps with sociology, but we're focusing on how we're explaining those thoughts and behaviors. So, good idea, but just a touch off. All right? So, as I said, the way in which humans interact are going to change our behavior. So, how many of you make stupid faces in the mirror when there's nobody around, you're getting ready in the morning? Okay? Now, what happens if somebody walks into the bathroom and you're making stupid faces in the mirror? What do you immediately do? You stop. You're scared. Hey, you don't need to see that. That's social psychology. Your behavior just changed because other people were there. All right? So my next question for you, what is socialization and what is social schema? I'm going to give us kind of a bad definition of social schema because it will apply to what we're doing today. What do you think, Cordy? What is socialization? You're going to probably do it this weekend.
Like how you socialize?
What is socialize?
Like
interacting with people, right? So socialization is just the way that we interact with people. Really, the way we get along with others, right? Because if you don't do much socialization, then you're not getting, probably because you don't get along with others, or you just prefer to be by yourself. But that's, you know, those things are kind of hand in hand. What about social schema? Star, what do you think that means? Your brain is involved. What is a social scheme? Why do you sit where you sit at lunch? Because that's where your friends are. How do you know that they're your friends? They're your associate. Would you consider your friends the cool people? Yeah. That's because that's the way you see the world, right? Through your social scheme, the way that you look at your friends and your people, it's just kind of the lens that you're looking through the world, right? It's not right or wrong. It's just how you see it. For lack of I'm going to overgeneralize, and today we're going to, when I use social scheme, I'm going to say culture. It's not quite the same thing, but the video that I'm going to show you, it sort of mixes the two together. Or another way to say it might be like the rules that we're looking at. So there's like an unwritten set of rules. So when you go in the cafeteria at lunch, how many of you sit in close to the same spot every day? You don't have to do that. Why do you do that? That's your spot. That's the way that's your social hierarchy. So that brings us back now to conformity. And what is conformity again? A change in behavior based on others. So all these other things, culture, the way we get along with others, how we perceive others, really the number of people that are around us, all of those things impact socialization. Are we good with that? Because I'm almost done talking for a while. Okay, what we are going to do now is I'm going to put you in some groups, and in groups we're going to tell stories. But I have some specific rules for the stories that we're going to tell. We are going to tell stories in which we have conformed or in which people in general conform. And then we are going to list the reasons behind why we conformed or why people conform. So I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to talk about a time in which I ate pig brain. Have any of you ever had pig brain? Fried pig brain sandwich? It's actually not that bad. It tastes like chicken with a really awkward texture. Put a lot of mustard on it, you'll love it. But you can tell you're eating brain because of the texture. It's just the way you would think a brain feels inside your mouth. So, why on earth did I eat brain? It's not something I normally do. So let me kind of briefly tell you the story. When I was living in Evansville, they have this thing called the Food Festival. All right, or excuse me, the Fall Festival. And at that Fall Festival, it's just like a giant fair. But they've got all kinds of delicious fried foods. Thank you. Yeah. Delicious fried foods and rides. And one of the fried foods, their specialty, is pig brain. So I'm there with my wife and 2 other colleagues who are all really excited and telling me how great and how neat it is to eat this fried pig brain, which I initially think is absolutely disgusting. But we get there, and I can see all these people walking around with pig brain sandwiches. And the line for the pig brain booth is longer than any other line at the whole thing. So we get in line, and we wait, and I'm the 4th one in line. And all 3 of the people ahead of me order pig brain, and they all take bites, and they say, that's really good. So what do? I ordered pig brain, and I ate pig brain. So now, I've told my story, but now what I have to do, so I would just write up there at the top for one. You're not writing this because this is my story, not yours. I would write pig brain, because that's what the story was. And now, I'm going to try and figure out what influenced me to eat the pig brain. So help me out. You guys heard my story. What do you think? Okay, my friends. Let's get a little more specific, because there's something that all of you are going to want to write down, and I'm telling you it's not good enough. You're going to write down the word peer pressure. Peer pressure isn't specific enough because peer pressure looks at a lot of different factors. There's a lot of stuff involved in peer pressure. And there's a lot of stuff involved in friends. So with friends, because I followed my friends' actions, what does that imply about my friends? Do I trust them? Yeah, so I'm not just going to put friends, I'm going to put that I trust my friends. I don't trust all my friends. I probably shouldn't trust my wife. But I did in that instance, right? So I put trust friends. What would another thing be going on?
The people that were free.
Lots of people did it. So I'm going to put other people did it. And notice there's a difference between friends and people. Like, I'm a friendly person, but I don't consider all people my friends. But the fact that I'm seeing other people that I don't know do it, that does make a difference, right? So if you're in an unfamiliar situation, let's say you're an alien and you're taken to a mall for the first time, what are you going to do to decide how you should behave at the mall? Watch the other people around you. And then if I'm with two friends, whose opinion do I value more? Friends. So I'm going to look at the other people, but I'm also going to look at my friends, and I'm more likely to follow my friends. What other things were doing it would have been an impact with that? What's one other factor?
The line, maybe? How they
The
go.
line. Let's talk about, what does that line tell me to do? Does it tell me it's safe? Yeah. Not just that there's other people doing it, but other people, I can see that it's a safe thing done by other people. I'm using information. So I'm going to just put safety from others. All right, so I've kind of dissected and broken it down into three pretty specific reasons. Does that make sense? You guys think you can do that? I'm going to put you in groups of 3. I picked the groups. I'm mean. It'll be okay. In your group, each person will tell one story, and then those of you that did not tell the story will help that person come up with their 3 reasons. Okay? So, first group, once you up here, we're going to do, actually over here, we'll do Logan, Bethany, and Star. Next group, over here, we're going to do Bailey, Casey, and Samantha. Next group, you guys can be right here in the middle, Antonio, Carly, and Courtney. Next group, I want you to meet over there where Emily is. It's going to be Emily, Leah, and Claire. Next group, right around here, we're going to go Kaylee, Madeline, and Kyle D. Next group, Lennon, David, and Michaela Davis. Then back here, we're going to do Erica, Kaylin, and Kyle Carter. Where's Gabby at? Gabby, going to be Gabby, Alan, and Joe. I miss anybody? Okay, if we could get in our groups, tell our stories, and come up with our reasons. Let's see if we can do this in 8 minutes.
I love it.